What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, make sure to check out my other videos. Today I'm going to do a bit of a tour of my workbench, my electronics workbench upstairs in my house. I've done quite a few videos on my garage shop with my mechanical tools and stuff, but I do have quite a bit of stuff up here too that I've never shown before. So I don't know if you know this, but I am in college for electrical engineering, so I'm really into electronics. I like working on cars too, but electronics is kind of what I'm going into. So I have a lot of tools mainly for that. I am starting, so I don't have a lot of stuff. I have enough to do like small projects and stuff like that, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, that type of stuff. So I'll give you a little tour about what I got here. This workbench I got at a library sale. My local library is giving it away. It was some sort of like desk for reception. It is extremely strong. I've sat on this, and like another person has sat on this desk the same time as I have. I weigh like about 150. It withstands like 300 pounds at least. Like, this thing is rock solid. It's not even mounted to the wall or anything. This thing doesn't even move. It is extremely heavy and heavy duty. It's a very thick metal, sorry, not metal, wood. Really hard to drill into. But either way, I got this for like $5, and I had to assemble it. So that was an absolute steal. It has a pass through for power strips. As you can see, I got about 2 of them here. I used to have a long strip, but I moved that downstairs to the garage because I wanted it there instead. So we can start up here on the pegboard. I don't have a lot of hand tools. I have stuff that I need for electrical stuff. So I do a lot of computer builds, and I used to repair computers and stuff. I still do, but not as much. Just a Harbor Freight set of screwdrivers. They're magnetic, and they're long, and they're decent enough. It's like the $5 set. I like them. Some wire strippers, some fries, some random pliers, some slip joint, not slip joint, groove joint, whatever. Needle nose, some flush cuts. Those are pretty nice. Those are nice to have. Cutting off solder joints, stuff like that. Cheapy hammer. You never know. You have to drill, hit nails into the wall sometimes up here. I use these tools for like repair around the house too if I'm upstairs working on something. So I do have some random stuff. It's not electronic related. Just a random motherboard for show there. So this is kind of my like electronics parts area. This is just like audio connectors and like 1/4 inch to 3.5 millimeter HDMI extender, stuff like that. Just got another place to put them. In here is test leads, RCA, crimps, multimeter, stuff like that. Get to them every once in a while. In here is random plugs that I've pulled off things that were in the garbage or they didn't work. Micro B, USB, a Bluetooth receiver, coil, USB, like 9-volt, 6-volt connector stuff. In here is my ICs. Actually, not all of them are here. I'll show you in a minute why. I have a decent amount of ICs, mostly CMOS stuff. LS series, 74 series, sorry. 74 LS, 74 HC, that type of stuff. My dad was into pinball stuff, so he's a lot of older chips. And then I bought some 74 HC, I believe, for CMOS, like, and or NAND and NOR gate stuff, because I do a lot of that stuff at school. So logic stuff. Capacitors, I have more than this, obviously. This is just spare stuff I've either pulled off or just random small stuff. Potentiometers, and I think there's some buttons in here and selectors. I use those, pull them off old audio amplifiers. Some 24-pin stuff. LEDs, a couple transistors or voltage regulators, little teeny transformer thing. In here is just kind of the random junk, coax splitter thing. Couple RCA and coax and 3.5 jacks put on boards. Those come in handy if you're trying to make an audio board or something. Then these bottoms are my leads. I got this set of these like a Legu or something. It came with a bunch of leads that you pull off. I still have more of them, but it's just some of them. I separate them by color just so it's easier. Blue, white, yellow, orange, red, black. I have more than this, obviously, guys. And then this is just kind of the rest of the wire. Most of it, I believe, is 18 gauge stuff. Some of this is, well, all of it's solid, I believe, but some of these are thicker in here. These black ones and red ones that are coiled up are thicker wire. So this has all kinds of stuff in it. I'll go through it, I guess. There's some good stuff in here. Just flashlights, some screws for around the house, like I said. This is PC screws, so all kinds of motherboard screws, fan screws, bushings, stuff like that for computer builds. Same as the magnetic tray. It has an assortment. This is all motherboard screws or power supply screws for stuff like that, because I do that quite a bit. In here is some thermal paste, a CPU holder, silicone, you know, that type of stuff. This is CPU cooler equipment and fan shrub stuff, more computer stuff. Molex connectors, splitters, so like Molex to SATA splitters, you know, 1 to 2 both ways. Crossfire bridges, speakers, extenders, stuff like that. Those do come in handy, especially for older systems, converting them to like SATA. Some micro screwdrivers, some like small Torx, I believe it goes into like T4. Those come in really handy. Cheap brand, I'm not sure where I got them, but these are some really nice, like Excelite, I believe is the brand. Metal screwdrivers. My dad gave me these. They're really nice. They're small Phillips, flathead. I think it's just Phillips flathead. There's a bunch of different sizes, though. Those are really heavy duty. This is my accumulation of like this. You know when you buy like a screen for a phone, they come with a little toolkit. I bought like 10 of those things, and I've kept the better of the tools. Little flathead pentalobe screws for doing iPhones, stuff like that. Scrapers. I use them when I work on phones, I guess, sometimes, but I end up using these more. In here is just a random junk. Bits is what it's labeled, but there's all kinds of stuff in here. Allen wrenches, screws, angle bracket things. I'm not sure what you call those. Random knives, just come in handy opening boxes, you know, cutting things, obviously. RAM, a lot of it's DDR2. I used to do a lot of DDR2 builds and stuff, older systems, like a couple years ago, and turning them into gaming machines. I have like probably 10 gigabytes of DDR2 in here, just 2 gig, 4 gig sticks, stuff like that. SATA, I have way more SATA cables than this, but that's just spare ones. ID, not used very often, but every once in a while you need one. Wire, spare wire, little speaker wire stuff. Level, tape measure. Here's kind of more of the junk stuff. Yeah, nothing really special. Batteries, AAA's, D's or 9 volts or something. Tacks, I get in these quite often. Heatsink stuff. ESD strap, electrostatic discharge strap, I think is what they're called. You're supposed to use them really working on computers, especially because I'm on carpet here, but yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really use it. I've never really statically discharged a component before, but it's probably better to be safe. That's it for that little compartment thing. I've organized it plenty of times. It's been overfilled before, you know, just random junk. These are all screws. I'm not gonna open it up. There's just a crap ton of different size screws and stuff. I get into them quite a bit because I take stuff apart, and then I want to put it back together later, and I gotta figure out which screws went to it, so I organize it in that thing. Up here is just some air and the glue stick, like sticky stuff. It doesn't really work. You're supposed to be able to stick stuff to walls with it, but I wouldn't buy it. This is double-sided sticky tape for phone screens and stuff like that. I used to do a lot of phone screens for people's phones. I do it sometimes, but I've gotten away from it. It just kind of like gets old, I guess. I used to do a lot of iPhones, and I hate iPhones. So this is some, what do you call it, Velcro and electrical tape. You can never have too much electrical tape. RCA and VGA cable for this monitor. This is my test monitor. This is actually my friend Joel's monitor. He's off at college. I still have it. We did a review on my other channel, which is not, you could check it out if you want. It's called MG Tech, but yeah, it's on that channel. It's a pretty good monitor, actually. I use it for test bench and stuff for computers. It's pretty good. Test leads for multimeter or the power supply is what I use it for. I'll show you in a minute. Little vise, swivel vise. I use this quite a bit actually. Holding wire together, holding PCB boards for soldering. The swivel mechanism is kind of broke in it, but if you leave it in a certain spot, it works okay. Tape measure. So this is the Sunfounder kit. I use this for school, but I also use it at home all the time. It's the Arduino Mega 2560 board. It's a knockoff of the actual Arduino, but it's in a Lego, but it's actually pretty good. Well, this I bought separately from the kit, but they're all compatible. Came with a little breadboard. Here's the rest of my chips I was talking about. So, not sure which ones these are. These are the 7.4 series, I believe. 7.4 LS series. These are like old pinball parts, but they actually work for CMOS stuff, I believe. And this is some newer stuff I bought, 7.4HC stuff. This is more CMOS, NAND or NAND. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then learn logic gates. Potentiometer, dot matrix display, 7-segment display. These are cool. We do stuff with these all the time. LEDs, buttons, switches, stuff like that. It gets used quite a bit, actually. You can use it. I have a Raspberry Pi right here. You can combine these two and make some pretty cool stuff with it. And in here, I just have resistors. So, yeah. So, this is to the good stuff. At least I think it's the good stuff. Breadboard. And this is a Heath kit, like an old 80s Heath kit. My dad made this a long time ago. Gave it to me. He didn't use it anymore. Has all kinds of stuff on it. Clocks, logic indicators. Has a 12-volt and 5-volt power supply, which is very nice. You flip it on and you got instant power to the breadboard. Hook it straight up. The breadboard's kind of crap. It's old. Has water damage and stuff. But if you use the right side of it, it works pretty decent. Built-in switches, logic switches for high-low, asserted high, asserted low stuff. Some line source for AC if you're doing 5-volt, or I think it's 12-volt AC. I'm not really sure. Don't use it that often. But it works really well if you need another power supply and breadboard. This is my IWU INT936 soldering iron. I love this thing. It's a knockoff of a Hakko 936. It's actually pretty awesome. I got it for like $40 at Fry's. It heats up in like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I usually do it at about 300, 350, 700, whatever that C or Fahrenheit, Celsius, Fahrenheit. But yeah, that's about for wires. If I'm doing like board stuff, I usually put it a little higher. Just whatever feels comfortable. Has a removable cord, which is nice. The thing about this is like almost all of it is replaceable. The tips on this soldering iron are Hakko replaceable stuff. You can put actual Hakko stuff on it, which is really cool. A nicer breadboard, the better bottom and stuff. It's a solid one. I use that as a spare in case one of them breaks down. This is my my baby right here. Fluke 174 True RMS multimeter. This is a $100 find at Fry's on their deal. I believe it's still going on. If you don't have a nice multimeter, this is awesome. I love this thing. It is so accurate. I know it's not like I would say it's professionally it is professional grade. It is very nice. I've done a review on it on my channel. It's not the best review, but I love this thing. It works awesome. The leads are real nice. It feels solid. It has all the features you'll ever need, unless you're like a hardcore electrician or electrical engineer. But I would definitely recommend it. This is my 12-volt power supply and 5-volt and 3.3. It's from a old desktop PC power supply. It was like a 300-watt. Converted it with leads. It was actually kind of a cool project. Everybody does this. It's pretty simple. Really just take the leads and plug it into plugs in the back. It's really not that hard. But it's cool. Added a switch to it. Eventually, I I might turn one of these 7-segment displays or the dot matrix or something and turn it into a screen and then put a potentiometer to adjust the voltage, but I'm afraid it might ruin the power supply, so I'm not going to do that quite yet. I like it separated. It's a lot easier for me to get it because it's a solid 5 volts, a solid 12 volts. It's a decent power supply. Some solder. Solder I use is... I don't even know if I can tell you. Uh-oh. I always make the mistake and buy the wrong solder. I'm not good at doing this. There we go. 60/40. I actually like this one. The last one I got. I get it at Fry's. It's like $17 for this, I believe. I've had this for about like 3 months now, and I solder quite a bit. So it's lasted me. I've barely used any of it. Last one I got was like a 60/40, and it was too thin. It broke really easily. I'm not really sure what that was used for. My dad has some really old solder that's super thin, but it's extremely like good at everything. Circuit boards, wire, thick wire. It's really good. I'm not sure what type it is because it's not labeled, but it works really well. Here is my dad's old Uglies electrical reference. This is really nice for doing conversions, stuff like that. I love this book. Thought about being an electrician too, but electrical engineering is where I'm gonna go. Raspberry Pi B+, I believe. It's pretty cool. I've yet to use it for a lot of projects, but it has so many capabilities. It's awesome. It's like, it's a microcomputer. Like, I don't know how you could beat that. So this Workbench, I added a drawer to this off of an old glass desk I had. I just drilled into this recently. So I'll get that in a minute. Over here, keyboards. Old mechanical PS2 one. I love this thing. Those are just test keyboards up here. So in the drawer is the rest of my tools here. I do have a socket set up here. Like I said, I do stuff with around the house up here. Just, I believe it was a Husky like stubby set, but it's actually not bad. It's a 2-in-1 3/8 and 1/4 inch. It's alright. It's like 40 teeth. It's nothing compared to my other stuff. I have nicer ratchets, of course, but some bits, because I do use these quite a bit. I don't use this micro precision screwdriver that much, but it's here. Some random spare screwdrivers, these little Husky ones. In the garage, I have the rest of this Husky set, the USA Husky stuff. I love this. I probably use this Phillips screwdriver more than anything. This is probably my most used screwdriver. That might not be right, but I use this a lot. I just love the thing. Some stubbies, a 90-degree one. My Drill Master drill. To be completely honest, this is actually a good drill. Like, I think I got it for $16 or $20 because I bought the flashlight with it, which I shouldn't have done. Don't buy the flashlight. It's not that good, and you get to switch the batteries around. The battery lasts in this thing forever. Like, I don't use it all the time, but I've had to charge this thing maybe twice. And I've had this thing for maybe 6 months. And I don't like use it for like 20 minutes at a time. I use it to drill like 2 things and put it away. It sits in here, or sits up there, for like months at a time, and it still has a full charge. I would actually recommend this drill. I wouldn't use it every day out workforce, but around the house, this thing is awesome. It's decently built. It's variable speed. Like, there's a bit of a dead zone, but clutch is okay. It could be better. The one thing about it, watch closely. I think you can see that. It does not spin straight. It spins like this. That does kind of run into problems if you're drilling a hole. I don't drill a lot, like drill bits, but screwing it does kind of mess it up. Turn screws sideways or whatever, but if you push really hard and figure out the angle and go with it, figure it out. But I'm not sure if all of them are like this, but mine did happen to me, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. This way. But yeah, I would recommend the drill if you really need one. You want a secondary for the house. That's what I would say. Here's the rest of those leads. A lot of them are extensions. Like, one side has the pin, the other side doesn't, or neither side has a pin. Really not going to use those, but whatever. This drawer is not bad either. It's got ball bearings in it. It doesn't extend all the way out like you want a toolbox, but literally it's just one drawer. I thought it was a good idea. This next drawer, this is actually a big desk under here. Not big, small desk. This is my hard drive storage. Stuff that all of them, most of them work. I guess these two don't. Old laptops. I have some 500 gigs, like some old 80 gigs ones that have operating system on them. I know one of these is Windows 7 that I keep. This is a 2 terabyte video hard drive. I got this for like actually free because I got a motherboard, a processor, and they just gave me this for like $2 pretty much. I got a whole system. And it's a 2 terabyte video hard drive. These are like 80, 90 bucks online, and it was brand new. Never been opened or anything. Like, it had nothing on it. It was really awesome. So this is my my storage that's not like online. It's my, I don't know what you call this, off-site storage. It's not really what you call it, but I use it to store stuff that I don't want anybody to get into, pretty much. You know, I want to have it, but you know. This is just some random 80 gigabyte stuff. Some of it's okay. This is probably the better one, the Barracuda 7200. I believe this is the one with Windows 10 on it. This 500 gig must be Windows 7. I have some small laptop ones with Ubuntu and stuff, some USB ones, some graph paper for drawing out stuff like circuits. This is my Dell PowerEdge server. This thing is old. That's the best way to put it. It's a dual Xeon system, but it's a single core Xeon, so I only have one of the processors too. So it's a single core Xeon. Yeah, it's Xeon, but it's not that cool. It has the motherboard spans from here to here. And it's really hard to tell, but a normal full tower PC is about right here. This thing is big. It's very heavy. It's like 60 pounds, hard to lift. But yeah, it's kind of cool. It's like a relic, old like circa 2003. Keep it around just because it's cool. Graphics cards, circuit boards. A lot of them are old. I have some PCI stuff. Why can't I think of it? Oh, geez. That. I'm not. I used to do a lot of stuff with it. I'll think of it. But Cat5 boards, you know, NIC cards, I/O shields, some on-the-go computer screws if I go to a friend's house to fix stuff, some SSD trays or 2.5 trays, zip ties. This used to be full, but I've used a lot of them. Fans, circuit boards, motors, kind of electronic stuff. Most of the stuff works. It's just too old to use or not really relevant anymore, but you don't want to get rid of it. Mice, I guess. I have a pretty nice Razer Death Adder here. This is one I use for school sometimes. My secondary gaming mice. Some CD drive, stuff like that from an old Xbox 360. This thing is really cool. I got this at Fry's too. It's like 15 bucks. USB 3 docking station. So if I ever do want to use one of these hard drives, like my storage drive for like all my files and stuff, I'll plug this in here and plug it into my computer. If I take the pictures or like my Word documents that I want to save, I'll put it onto this, and then I'll connect it to this, connect it to my computer, move it over, and then I have all those files still. They're just not taking up space in my computer or my network drive. So it's really cool that way. And it's pretty fast. Like, I think if your computer supports USB 3 booting, you can boot from one of these things and it'd be just fine. USB 3 is like, I believe 60 megabits per second, something like that. So I could be wrong about that number, but it's fast enough to boot from. I know that. Random wires, USB headers, some Intel and AMD stock heatsink, stuff like that. Old power supplies. One of those isn't like a bench power supply. It was only like 110 watts though. Really low amperage, so I used this one instead up here. I believe that's it. I think I've talked about everything. I used to have a lot more stuff up here. It was way more room, more drawers and stuff, and I got rid of a lot of stuff, or a lot of it was junk. So this is kind of like all I'll need for a while. Uh, it works pretty good. I do all kinds of stuff up here. I work on circuit board, build computers, do little projects with Arduino boards. Obviously, I use it for like hammering on stuff, working on scraping, household stuff in here. I do stereo stuff, rebuild audio amplifiers, stuff like that. If you guys liked the video, make sure to like it and comment below if you have any ideas. I'm planning on getting some new stuff in the future eventually. I would love a fume extractor. When I solder in here, it does kind of get like smoky. I have a smoke detector in my room, so I have to open the door, open the window over here to the left. So fume extractor would be cool. A desoldering station. My dad does have one out in the shop, his shop. If I really need to do that, I go use his. But most of the time I just heat the thing up and pull it out with some pliers. It's probably not the proper way to do it, but I've always done it that way. I know you can get them for cheap. I would also like a, oh god, what are they called? SMD heater, SMD soldering station. What are they called? Yeah, that's what they're called. You know what I mean. Like a heat gun, pretty much, that is centered so you can take off little ICs and stuff like that. So that would be really cool. And everybody that's in electronics would like a oscilloscope. A scope would be awesome. I've found a couple at like Goodwills and yard sales, but they're always way too expensive. Like $100 for one that you can buy for like $40 on Amazon or eBay. But I wouldn't buy an oscilloscope on eBay. I'd have to see it in person. So maybe one day when I'm older if I can afford it, but I don't think it's necessary for me right now. So any ideas? That would be nice. Leave it down in the comments below. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.